Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending this morning's Tide webinar. This morning, we're going to be talking about I've moved my business sales online due to COVID. Now, we have an amazing panel lined up to have a bit of a discussion and answer some questions on this subject. But before we get started on the actual event itself, I just wanted to give you an idea of Tide and about what we do. I've seen there's a few people online now, and some of you may be members, some of you might not be members, but just to give you an idea of what we do. So we have, we are the business current account designed specifically for SMEs and freelancers to save you money and time with your banking needs. We currently have over 200,000 members and the fastest growing current account in the UK. We're great for startups and freelancers, as there's no monthly fee, no minimum deposit. We don't do any credit checks, and this means you can try us out alongside your existing business current account for a direct comparison on cost, ease of use, and time that will save you. It usually takes about 10 or 15, between 5 and 10 minutes, to register and get a sort code and account number. When I did registered for a Tide account, I timed it, and it was 4 minutes and 37 seconds from start to finish to have a sort code and account number, and I got the bank card through the post in about 4 days later. So it's really is quick and easy to set up. And the app itself, as you can see on the screen, is packed full of time-saving features. We can auto-categorize your spending, so you can see exactly where your money's going and when it went there. We've recently added a brand new invoicing feature after listening to our customers about what they wanted. It's free, it manages your invoices in one place. You can have really professional looking invoices which are editable. You can include your own logo as well. And we've also teamed up with Akodo recently, which provide invoice protection. So this ensures invoices against non-payment, which is a really useful tool and service for our customers. And we listen to our customers, and this is something that they wanted, and we managed to add with the help of Akodo. And you don't need to share one bank card as well for the account. You can have up to 30 cards on the one account. So if you have co-directors or senior leadership, or just members of staff who want to make company expenses, then they can do that with those cards. And like I said, you can order up to 30 within the one account. And also, final point on the account, which I think is really useful, is that you can split the account into 4 subcategories. So you can have a subcategory for tax spending, for your events spend, for your marketing, all that kind of stuff. And it really makes it much easier to sort of manage your finances and see where your money's going, and basically just makes the sort of business finance part of your business much easier and saves you lots of time as well. I'll talk to you a bit more later about how you can sign up for Tide and things to look out for from us post-event. But we're now going to move on to introducing the panel. Just a quick note, Alex from Square Star Digital was due to talk, but unfortunately he's had quite a nasty back injury. He's put his back out in the office. I think he was doing a very dramatic thing of sitting down into a chair, but he has quite a nasty back injury, so he's bedridden. But Michael Willwood, digital marketing manager, has stepped in at the last minute. We're very appreciative of that. So I will let the panel introduce themselves, starting with Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Morning, thank you, Kieran. My name's Chris. I'm a director at Square Star Digital. We're basically a social media, Google Ads and web agency based in Colchester in Essex. We work with a multiple of companies, from small businesses through to much larger organisations, and do everything from full management of those services through to training as well. So quite a few different areas we work in. So that's me.
Great, thanks, Chris. And Jade, good morning.
Good morning, hi. So my name's Jade. I own Bitesize Bakehouse, which is a bijou home-based bakery specialising in celebration cakes and wedding cakes, but now an online postal service too.
Great, thank you, Jade. And Michael, good morning.
Good morning. My name's Michael. I'm digital marketing manager at Square Star Digital. Try saying that after a couple of drinks. Our specialism, my specialism is in PPC. So like Chris said, we work with a multitude of clients, some with small budgets, some with large budget spending, tens of thousands of pounds a week. And there really is a strategy for all types of budgets.
Great, thank you so much. And just for people that may not be that au fait with Zoom, if it's your first or second time using Zoom, there is a Q&A button, and there is also a chat button. We'll be doing a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please do get your questions in as we go along, and we'll get those to the panel. If you have any nice things to say or any comments as well, put those in the chat and we can discuss those as we go. Also, we wanted to run a quick poll just to see who we're talking to. So if you all wouldn't mind answering this poll, just so we understand the sort of size of company or people we're talking to. I'll just give it a couple of seconds to see if everybody can answer. We're at 77%, see if we can get 100%. I don't know if we've done one with 100% yet. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Excellent. So end the poll, and the results are there. So it's interesting actually. It's a bit of a change to the norm. We usually have more self-employed in 1 to 5, but there's obviously a peak there with the 6 to 10, but still a smaller business size that we're talking to. Thank you very much for taking part in that. Great. So we'll move on to the webinar itself now, and we're going to start with Jade. I can just move the slide on. Sorry, go back one. Jade, you've had to very quickly pivot the way in which you operate and the way in which you sell and who you sell to, and it'd be great to hear about your journey and the sort of wins and misses you've had over the past few months.
Yeah, of course. So before COVID, I specialised in wedding cakes, celebration cakes, and wholesale orders, or worked with corporate clients to provide sort of sweet treats for events. So very much face-to-face, delivering cake across my area. COVID hit and everything shut down almost immediately. So lost all of the wedding business content for the entire year now, and corporate and wholesale obviously all went on hold until they could open again. I was very lucky that I have a home-based bakery, so I could still produce what I deliver. So I changed my business model and moved straight to online. So up until now, really, since COVID, we got put into lockdown, I moved my business online and was delivering chocolate brownies and marshmallows across the UK overnight. I think my business changed, so had to set up an online shop. Obviously changed some of the suppliers to get the stock in to be able to support that. And now we are coming out of lockdown and businesses are starting to open again. The wedding industry is probably not quite back where it needs to be, but we're starting to have conversations again. I'm now shifting to try and incorporate the postal business that has been fabulous during lockdown, and blend that with what I was doing before. So yeah, a few things that helped with that smooth transition is having a way to take payments online. There was absolutely no face-to-face contact whilst this was all happening. So I needed to be able to take payments via direct bank transfer or contactless payments. There was a lot of doorstep deliveries, but also working with couriers as well. So Tide was brilliant, being able to see all the payments coming in and categorising them, especially as I am a self-employed one-man band, so trying to keep track of everything when I had many more customers and payments coming in than I normally do. It was large orders with smaller individual suppliers, and then I went overnight to taking payments from hundreds of different types of people. So that was invaluable. And also having an online store that I was able to get up and running overnight, get some content on there, and it'd be easy enough to individualize and personalize and improve as I go. Do you want to jump to the next slide?
Sure.
Yeah, so some of the things I'd say that I've learnt from this journey so far was not waiting for perfection. So I got my online shop up overnight. It definitely still needs some tweaks, and it wasn't perfect when I put it up, but it was up and running, which meant that people could find me online, and I was solving a problem in that people couldn't go and see their friends and family, so they were missing out on birthdays or just wanting to send people a sweet treat in the post to tell them that they were thinking of them, or if people are shielding and having a slightly hard time. So they could access that straight away. And what I did was I learned as I went. So as I was getting feedback and interacting with my customers, I just improved it as I went. So I wasn't sitting on it trying to make it perfect. It was an iterative process to get it where it is today, which I think was something that I'm glad I did, but I'm still learning from now, which is really good. I don't think it can ever be something that you put up and it's just ready to go and it will be perfect from then. So I would say, if you've got the plan to go online, just try it, see what happens, and then from your first few customers you can learn from what they liked, what they didn't like, and improve, or carry on doing that part that they like doing. Don't assume or underestimate. I made this mistake a lot, and this was probably one of the biggest learnings for me. I know my content and my products really well, and I also know where all the information is on my website. You cannot assume that your customers will find it, even if you think it's in a logical place. It has to be in multiple places, written in different ways. And again, something that I'm still improving now. I'm always going back and just checking in with customers. I've got a newsletter where I ask for some feedback as well. And there's so many times where I've had to have changes in postal dates, which I think are really clear on the website, but someone else has gone on and seen it at a different touch point and not understood the message that I was trying to send. So you have to really get into your customer's head and see it how they would see it without any knowledge of your product, or where the shipping information or the postal charges might be. I put it under headers, and actually some people like it all in one place. So now I've got it under headers and I've got it all in one place. I've got them written in different ways. And that's, something that I've definitely improved on as I went. It was not perfect when I went online. But my customers have helped me through that, which has been fantastic. Harnessing your community as well was something that I had to do. I didn't have an online shop before. I didn't have a host of subscribers to a newsletter that I could share the news with. So I had to use my social network and my local community and really push out and use them as a way to spread my message, and to tell people that what I'm doing has changed and that they can now buy online and buy postal gifts from me rather than large celebration cakes, because they just wouldn't have known. And some people will find you just like that online, but there's a very small percentage. So you need a traffic source, and I've utilised that. I think a lot of people are wanting to support their local community and small businesses a lot more now. I've felt it, and I definitely know that my spending for small business and local business has changed as well. So I used that change in myself and connected through local online forums and Instagram. And I had a very small newsletter subscription that sort of was sharing what I was doing, how things are changing, and that has really helped. One, sales, and two, spread the word for future sales. So now, as I'm shifting back into celebration cakes and some of the more corporate and wholesale side of things, I am keeping this has been such a fabulous journey. I'm keeping this going, and we're just looking at how it sits together. And the other thing is just being really proud of what you have achieved in such a short amount of time. I think I'm definitely one to nitpick and try and find how I could have done better, and actually being able to keep going and pivot during a really difficult time is something that is necessary, and it's something that you can improve going forwards. And I think I'm really happy with the way that the shift has occurred, and also how that shift, although I thought it would be temporary in the first instance, is now going to be a long-term strategy running through my business.
Great. I think there's some really useful and important points there, Jade, and really Really well put across. I think the don't assume or underestimate, I think, is something we're all guilty of in our lives, no matter if it's a business or not. But I think it's a really important one. And the community thing is something which has kept coming up on the webinars over the past few weeks. Is harnessing that community, and that sense of community is something which has really become, one of the positive things from the past few months, which is, a nice thing to be able to cling on to after the horrors of the last few months. I had just a quick question which just popped into my head in terms of logistics for sending stuff out and packaging and things like that. Was that something you had to get onto in a different way, or was the packaging you were using historically suitable for sending things out? And with post as well, were you having to sort of re-evaluate how you send things out on a day-to-day basis, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a real moving feast as it started. So I did not anticipate how busy I would be, because it was just a complete new venture, and it was just something, I mean, my entire revenue had just dropped off overnight when we went into lockdown. So I didn't have any expectations. And also suppliers were taking longer to get things to me. It was definitely an iterative process. So the boxes that I started out with are no longer used, but I've got a great supplier now, and so yeah, it was just my family immediately got some trials in the post to see what things posted really well and what didn't. So I've got a core range of things that I know travel very well in the post, and then it was just adjusting the sizes and the flavors that work really well together. The courier situation was quite difficult because Royal Mail, which was something that I would have used initially, obviously were just inundated quite rightly over the situation. So I switched to courier, contactless doorstop delivery courier, which was really helpful in the short term. We've moved back now to Royal Mail as we sort of go on for a long-term strategy. But whilst we were in lockdown, it meant that I could do 1 or 2 post outs a week. So it was lessening my contact points and the couriers. And people were quite flexible with that because they knew things were taking a little bit longer. And it was just a little bit safer as well.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I think it's really nice to hear the journey and to see that what you've been able to pivot to is going to continue as a sort of success story as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, thank you. Cool. So we're going to now move on to Chris. Let me just get to you on the screen for me, Chris. I can't see you at the moment. Bear with me. There we go. I'm going to pin you there. Perfect. So Chris, we're going to talk about utilizing social, and I think, as we know, it's a huge topic, and we could talk about it for days. But we're going to focus on organic and paid social, and how that can help small businesses. But I'm just going to run a quick poll first of all, just about people's use of social, and just going to ask if people on the call have a Google Ads account. So if you guys could just let us know if you have a Google Ads account. If you don't know, that would be great. So we're looking 80%, 90%, almost there. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to end the poll and share the results. And yeah, it's quite a large percentage that people don't have a Google Ads account, so they either don't know it exists or they don't know how to set it up. So yeah, Chris, it'd be great if you could then talk us through that and the pros and cons of organic and paid social.
Great stuff. So yeah, obviously thanks for having us on. Yeah, social is such a huge subject, and I really thought hard about how we were going to sort of deliver some time now that would be beneficial for anyone watching. And I think the thing for me is with social is whether you've got an existing presence on social media or you're sort of pivoting to online, and so much so that you're even starting your social media now. I think these sort of next points really will benefit anybody at any stage of their social journey. So I'll start with the first one I put here, which is basically start with your existing customers first. One of the things that we notice when a lot of clients come to us with social media, whether it's for us to manage it or for us to train them, is that there's always this want of getting new customers. We want to get new customers. And when we start doing some sort of digging into into people's social accounts, it's very rare that they actually have existing customers being engaged with them. And my point here is always, why would someone who's never heard of you engage with you if your existing customers haven't engaged with you? And so from that perspective, I think it's really important to actually make social media part of your business, rather than 5 minutes a day where you think, right, I've got to do a post on social media. I know I've got a post, so I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to go and get on with my day job. It's about how you actually make it part of your business. And actually, I think one of the things that my background before I got into this was actually retail management, and what I've taken through to social media is actually that the social media part, the important part is the social part. And actually, making it part of your business is about talking with your customers, even face to face or on the phone, or, communicating and talking to them about your social media, and actually encouraging them into your social, and giving them a reason why they should be part of that social media. So not just, like us on Facebook, which is the sort of thing you see on the backs of vans and business cards and what have you. It's, well, why should they like you on Facebook? Well, take them on a journey, explain to them, what benefit there is for them to actually like you on social. Are there special offers? Are there hints and tips that they're going to get that will benefit them from following you? It's so important to just communicate your social media verbally and physically, rather than just it being something that sits there on a computer. It's about that relationship you have with your customers. So if you can start with your existing customers first, they're going to be what's called your raving fans, the ones that are going to shout about you the loudest. So when you put a post up that shows your amazing product or service, because they've used it and they like it, and you have that relationship with them, they're going to be the ones that are going to like it and comment on it, so that when anyone else then comes looking, you've got that credibility and trust there, because your existing customers have given you that. So if you imagine a social media presence without those existing customers, suddenly it becomes very bare, and it's very, very hard then to get traction. So for me, those first 2 points really sit well together to make it part of your business, rather than, like I say, it being this separate entity that you think, oh God, I've got to do a post, I'm going to do that and then go and get on with everything else that I'm doing. So the next step on from that is getting reviews part of your sales process as well. So again, this is a communication thing. So rather than just sending an email out to all of your customers that says, would you mind leaving us a review? Again, this is actually a communication part. So whether you're a small business with one person, or you've got 10 employees or hundreds of employees, at some point someone is dealing with a customer. If you're able to then speak to that customer and say, if I sent you a link to my social media, would you be happy to leave me a review? It'll be really beneficial for a small business like ours. Or I'll get some brownie points with my boss if I get some reviews. However you want to do it, show your personality, have that relationship with your customers. Getting those reviews is so powerful in terms of building your credibility and trust. And you can use it in your marketing, in terms of, you can create content from it, you can create posts from it, you can use it in your newsletters, you can use it in other forms of marketing. But more importantly, anyone that then comes looking at your social media will see that credibility. And, on our own website, for example, we encourage our clients to do this now. We actually use our reviews, but they're clickable reviews, so you can actually click through to whoever left that review, so you can actually see a paper trail. So it doesn't, you can tell that person hasn't sat there and said, Mrs. Smith from Colchester thinks we're amazing. You can actually credibility check that review and see that it was left by a real person. And so reviews are so powerful and so underutilized. And I think, things like Facebook reviews, Google reviews, whatever's right for your business, the right place for you to collate those reviews, just get it part of your sales process so that it happens naturally. A lot of people worry about reviews from the perspective of, well, what happens if I get a negative review? So they shy away from even building reviews. And obviously the power in being in control of your review process is that if for some reason you do get a review, and obviously we always encourage people to deal with that review and show people that you've dealt with it, is that if you're in control of getting positive reviews, then in theory, it doesn't really matter if you get a negative review, because you will always still be getting those other reviews from your existing customers. And if anything, it just makes you look more real as a business. So, you know, actually treating reviews like that really can make a big difference to your online presence. The other point that I wanted to add here is about people. Again, we've all got products and services to sell. Very, very few of us have a product so unique that no one else is doing it. You know, 9 times out of 10, the thing that makes your product or service better or different to a competitor is usually the people or the delivery in what you're doing. So again, you know, even if you're a product-based business, I think actually showing more people in your posts and your content, and actually if you're a business owner, being able to put yourself on camera. A lot of people hate it. I know, you know, this is something we battle with all the time. I hate it myself. I'm not, you know, it's not my favorite thing to do. But at the end of the day, you know, people by people, I'm a massive believer in that, and social shows that. If we do a post for a client with a stock photo or a product photo versus a post where the business owner or someone within that organization is being recognized for something they do, 9 times out of 10 the engagement on the person post will be way more than it will be on a product or service. So it's not to say you only do that kind of content, but, you know, don't be afraid to be on social media as the person or the owner of the business or a member of your team or whoever. You know, it really does make a difference to setting you apart from your competition. And leading me on to the next thing, don't think about what you want to say, but what people want to see. And what I mean by that is, you know, as a business or, you know, we all have a product and service we want to sell. And the default post for a lot of companies is always, I've got this product, please buy it from me. Now, if you see that post on social media on a regular basis, the likelihood is you're going to switch off from it. You're not really going to engage with it. How do you deliver that same piece of content in a way to people that they actually want to read it? That's what you always have to think when you're writing a post on social media, is how do I write it so that people actually would want to read this? And there are ways you can deliver it. For example, we did some training with Wilkins & Sons, large organization, and they very kindly sent us some afternoon tea vouchers through the post after the training, which was fantastic. My next post wasn't, we do social media training, give us a call on this number. My next post was a picture of us out having afternoon tea at one of their tea rooms, saying, look, after training Wilkins & Sons, they very kindly sent us some vouchers. Isn't that fantastic? You know, but in that post we've told people the kind of clients we work with. We've told them that we offer training. So we are selling, but we're not selling in that sense of, you know, black and white, and people engage with it because at the end of the day it was us on social media, you know, people, and as I say, people by people, it just delivers it in a totally different way. So it's getting that mindset of, how do I say something that people want to see? And the other one is, and this kind of applies to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. We've just started running TikTok ads for clients, Google ads. You know, there are a lot of places for businesses to be online. The most important place for you to be is not on all of the platforms, but on the platforms where your customers are. So if a friend has said you have to be on Twitter, or if a friend has said you've got to have an Instagram account or a LinkedIn account, you know, you don't have to. You have to be on the platforms where your customers are. And actually, sometimes it's even better to start with one and get that working for yourself really, really well before moving on to other platforms. So hopefully that's useful on organic. Should we go to paid? When it comes to paid, the thing about paid social is, again, it's an absolute minefield. There are so many different things that you can do. And for a lot of people, when they start looking at it, it really is incredibly overwhelming. But there is one thing that you can do, even if you're not ready to start social media. And, you know, if anyone wants to contact you and after this and find out how this is done, we're happy to help out in terms of getting this done for people. But there is something called a Facebook pixel, which Facebook provides, which can sit on your website. It's basically a bit of code, a bit like a Google Analytics code. And that bit of code can track visitors to your website. There are lots of things that this code can do, from being able to remarket to people, where you send an ad to someone that's been on your website, through to creating things like lookalike audiences, where you can say to Facebook, we've had 1,000 visitors to our website. Can you go and find us more people that are very, very similar to the people that have been on our website? Even if you are not ready to take this step in your business, please get this pixel installed on your website, because it collects data from the time that it's installed. And the great thing is that, even if in a year's time you want to use it, you've then started collecting data for that 12 months. So it's a great thing to get done. Get some advice on getting it installed, or speak to your web company, whoever it is that you want. It's an essential tool long term. There are also TikTok pixels, LinkedIn pixels. There's lots of different ones, but for a lot of businesses, I'd say the Facebook one is definitely the place to start. When it comes to paid social, test. There is no there's no A plus B equals C that works every single time, because there are so many different variants of social in terms of the type of ads that you can run, from driving traffic to your website through to a lead generation style ad where you can collect data, through to a messages style ad where people can message you on Facebook. There's video ads, there's image-based ads. There are so many options that are available. And I always just suggest to people to just test with small budgets. You don't have to go in with massive budgets. And by small, £30, you'd be amazed what you can achieve with a budget like £30 on Facebook for some businesses. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't suit all, but for a lot of small companies, that you can do an awful lot with a very small budget sometimes. And there's no point going in, and it's a bit like gambling. You can go in and spend an awful lot of money, and if you're not testing, you don't know if it's working or not. That you are just literally throwing that money away. So please just test on social stuff. When it comes to writing ad copy on paid social, I think, especially from a small business perspective, we often sign posts off from a member of our team. Or for a client, we often actually write the post as if it was written by them. And the same thing from an ad. We have huge success writing ads for local businesses where that ad is written from someone within that business, right? So, we work with a local garage, for example, and the ad is written from the owner, and it's very much, look, if you've got issues with your car, get in touch. I'm more than happy to help. My team here are really good. It's all of that kind of phraseology. And also it's we quite often work with long copy. So it's not just, we're a local garage, get in touch now to get your car serviced. It will be quite a long post almost, with a lot of information. And we nearly always include a customer review in there as well. So, the actual post is quite often quite a long ad. So it's not just, a few words. But again, test. Sometimes short copy does work as well.
Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just conscious of time, and I don't want to rush you through this slide, but I don't want to miss out on Michael's stuff from later on. So just a bit of a push along, if that's okay. Without being rude.
Sorry. Research your audience, really important. There's loads of different places that you can get your audiences from. It's just important to make sure that you're targeting the right people. Targeting is hugely important. I actually mentioned ad objectives before, so we've talked about that, and small budgets. And the other thing is, if you're not confident on doing it, get training. Find a company that you can work with to get training on paid. The amount of people I've seen who have spent an awful lot of money and not really knowing what they've done with that money, I don't like to see it. And I think it's so important to get training if you're not confident in spending. Hopefully that ties it up nicely.
That wrapped it up really quickly. So, in terms, just a quick question for me on the training section at the bottom there. Is that an expensive thing for businesses to do, or can that be quite? So, I mean,
obviously with COVID, I'm very much a face-to-face trainer. I've done a lot of it over we've been doing this for 8 years now, and it's always been face-to-face. We do one-to-one through to corporate training. So we go up to clients and train corporate marketing teams or sales teams on LinkedIn. Our prices start at $245 plus VAT for a 2-hour session. And we now offer those on Zoom as well, which is not something we did before. But again, we now do Zoom training like that.
Okay. So yeah, very, very affordable for a small business, hopefully. And it obviously get a lot of ROI from the training as well. So that's great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. So we're going to move on to Michael now. Michael, again, thanks for stepping in at the last minute on this section, and we hope Alex, if he's watching, is feeling better. So we're going to talk about PPC, and it's a great tool for businesses, but can be seen as a bit of a hurdle, a bit of a stumbling block for some people. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts on how to make it work for small businesses.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I want to talk about how it can be made to work on a limited budget. That's something we kind of come across quite a lot. Like you say, maybe some of you are new to online sales. You don't have huge budgets, but what we can do is we can show an ROI quite quickly. That's the good thing about PPC. Now, I want to talk about how to avoid certain pitfalls, how to avoid wasting budget if you do have a limited budget. I'll throw in a couple of advanced tips for the guys who said they do currently have Google Ads accounts as well. So just briefly, for those of you who don't know, what is PPC? Now, PPC, or pay-per-click, it's a model of online marketing where you're only charged when users click your ads, which go through to your website. So essentially, it's a way of buying highly targeted and relevant users who are actively searching Google for a solution. They go to your website and you provide a solution to their need. I think that's the key point to get across, that you want to make a searcher feel like they're not being marketed to. Like I say, they have a need, you have the solution, communicate that solution, and everyone's happy, essentially. Now, I've spoken to many prospective clients who have never tried PPC before. And one of the main things I get asked is, will it work for me? And I kind of respond, what is working for you? What are your goals, essentially? Do you want to launch a brand awareness campaign? Just spend loads of money, get loads of traffic to your website. I have had a client who launched a gaming app and they wanted to get their name out there and their brand out there. So they wanted lots of traffic to their website. And their secondary goal was sign-ups to their mailing list pre-launch. So again, they had two goals. But for smaller businesses with a limited budget, it is predominantly sales or leads. So I would say, what is a lead to you? What cost per lead do you have in mind? And also, what is the value of a lead? Say, for example, we can get a lead in for £10. Are you qualifying 1 in 3, 1 in 5? So a value of a lead could be £50. Sorry, a cost per lead could be £50, but what is the value of that £50? Then we can track an ROI very quickly and determine if it's working for you. Now, I just want to kind of put some stats and figures here. I won't overwhelm anyone who is new to this, but I just want to show how performance can differ wildly per industry. So I listed a couple of examples here. Now, one thing to bear in mind is, say, client A sells luxury watches, client B sells plants and flowers online. Now, what you can very much tell is the difference in cost per click here, 59p versus 7p. So it's a lot cheaper for client B to get a lot more traffic for their small monthly budget. But what is important is the CPA, which is the cost per acquisition or lead. Now, say client B is getting sales for £128 with their average order value of £59, it's not going to stack up. So it is very, very different per industry. So yeah, I just want to get across how important it is to track your leads, understand the value of a lead, and then map your ROI. Move on to the next slide, please. So like I say, it can be very overwhelming when you're looking to launch PPC. There's a lot of advanced stuff we can talk about, but where do we start? I think it's important to bid on keywords which are closest to the conversion. So very exact what you're doing, essentially. So if we use this example, a travel agent example, now furthest from the conversion would be holidays. It's a very broad term. You're probably going to get a lot of traffic, people who are browsing. They're very much at the start of their customer journey. You can spend a lot of money quite quickly here. As we move down the line, keywords closer to conversion, very specific terms, such as book, safari, lion, sands. Now, these will probably have low search volumes. You won't spend too much, but you'll probably get high conversion rates because it's so specific. And I think with the term book in there, for example, people it shows their intent. They're actively looking to book now. So you're probably going to see a good ROI quite quickly. So yeah, as Chris mentioned, with Facebook, you can install a pixel to track your conversions. That's very much the same with PPC or Google Ads. It's imperative we set up conversion tracking. You want to track every customer interaction or touch point, be it a form on a landing page. We can track phone number clicks, we can track contact forms, anywhere a customer can inquire with you, we need to track so we can attribute an ROI to right down to keyword level to see your return. Now, things that can affect a poor ROI are poor landing pages. So I just want to touch upon this here, that when we build PPC accounts or we manage clients' PPC accounts, we're very much focused on the keywords and the ads, but we like to add value and look at clients' websites, landing pages, and make some suggestions, because if we can get a conversion rate up, we can get more leads for you, then it makes our whole job a lot easier. So some of the things which give a bad conversion rate would be maybe your copy is lame. So if we think of it as the customer journey, like I said, a user enter the query, they've seen our ad, clicked our ad, gone through to our landing page. You need an easy, smooth process for users to convert, but you need to list your USPs. What are your benefits in answering a user's initial query? And good call to action buttons. So for example, if a form says submit, it might make me think, maybe I'll fill out this form. But if it says get a free consultation, that might just tip me over the edge to think, okay, it's free, I'm not tied in at this stage, let's fill out the form. So you could see a high conversion rate. So it's always good to split test multiple different call to actions and copy. Now, for example, we have an interior designer client. Now we build specific landing pages for all the services she offers. So for example, we'd have a hotel designer landing page. So the headline would be hotel designers in London. So again, anyone searching within London would see this landing page, and hopefully that relevancy would increase. And we've done this for all the services she offers. So I just want to bring this point, brings back to the value of a lead. Say, for example, a hotel lead, design lead could be a high revenue driver for the client. So what we would do is a high value lead. We would build out different campaigns within PPC, Google, targeting different areas. So we could attribute a small budget to some of the low value terms, such as a bar designer, whereas the hotel designer is a high value keyword. We could attribute more budget here. So again, if you're on a limited budget, we can very much spread out budgets in high value areas. Next slide, please. Okay, so location settings. Now, you wouldn't believe the amount of accounts we audit where we see anywhere in excess of 20% of people's budgets being spent in foreign countries, countries they cannot service, that they're accidentally targeting that they didn't realize. So I think if you're already on a limited budget, this is an easy fix just to cut out any countries you don't mean to target. Now the solution is there's an advanced setting. Now Google recommends you target people in or showing an interest about my location. Now we recommend switching this to people physically in my location to stop all wasted spend for locations. Okay, so ads. Now I think writing good PPC ad copy is an art form. You've got to be quite creative. You've got to write engaging copy, but equally you're restricted by characters. So you've got to be very, very concise. So I just wanted to list two examples here. So both of these would be people searching for a VoIP provider. Now, ad A, I think it's quite a broad ad. I think there's no mention of the keyword VoIP or a start. So this lack of relevancy will harm click-through rates and relevancy scores, etc. I don't think it's very eye-catching. Now, while the copy itself makes sense, what is simplify your communications? What does that mean? What relevance does that have to my initial query of VoIP provider? Now, if we compare this to ad B, okay, so yeah, like I said, you're looking for a VoIP provider. Okay, I'll answer your query. Best VoIP providers in 2020. So here's the best providers in an up-to-date comparison. I think this ad is very personal. It says stuff like recommended for you to match your needs. So again, I'm talking directly to the searcher to try and answer their needs. Also, we list a benefit saying we're taking away the stress from your selection. You might not even know it's a problem, but I'm telling you, it's quite stressful finding a good solution. With my 10 years experience, which we also list, it gives that credibility as well. And we're ending it with get a consultation. So again, I want to tell user what happens next. What happens when I click my ad, your ad? I'm going to go and get a consultation. Now, we always recommend best practice is to test a minimum of 3 ads. So you're always competing your ads for better click-through rates to maximize your budget. Now, we would recommend pausing sort of poor performing ads and testing variations of your best performing ads. So for example, ad B, we could test the second line, which says, taking the stress out selection, we could say something along the lines of, take the stress out selection, get your free consultation, instead of just get your consultation. It's incredible by adding one little keyword in there, such as free, how that can massively impact things. So yeah, essentially you want the best click-through rate to maximize sending traffic through to your landing pages, especially if you've got this small budget. You want to get as many people to your landing pages that are searching for your specific terms. So I hope that's a sort of a brief insight into how PPC can work. Like I say, it's a very advanced topic and I could have gone into much more detail. I'll just kind of wrap up with a couple of advanced tips. So when you're testing your ads, there's an ad rotation setting where you want to make sure it's to optimize the best performing ads rather than rotate all your ads indefinitely. This basically means, in layman's terms, your better performing ads are going to be shown more to users, whereas if it's rotate indefinitely, both ads are going to be constantly shown at the same time. So your poorer performing ad is going to show equally.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. That was really, really interesting. And, you know, so I think it's given our attendees hopefully a lot of things to think about and to action. Just going to move on now to the sort of hints and tips section at the end. And I think the first one here was from you, Jade. So I don't know if you had a bit more you wanted to talk on that point.
Yeah, so this was really about sort of harnessing the customers that you've already got, which I know Chris sort of talked about, sort of engaging with them. And one of the things that I think is really important is if they've bought from you, they've liked your business, there's a reason that they're there. So find out why. Like that's one of the things that as sort of a self-employed person, I don't know why people buy from me, and it's really important to know what bits I'm doing right and which bits I can do better. So I spend a lot of time either going back on email or when there's drop-offs, just asking questions, and it's that personal bit, and socials as well, sort of trying to reach out via their accounts and not just mine, trying to find out why it is that they come back, so that if I do have more, then I can make sure I'm doing more of the same. Otherwise it's a bit of potluck. Okay,
yeah, that's a really good point. And Michael, the next view from you again, and conscious of time, I want to get to some questions if we have them. So maybe if you could just take the top lines from these ones, that'd be great, please.
Yeah, sure. So as we mentioned, track everything, absolutely everything. We need to track conversions from any touch point so we can show an ROI and optimize campaigns. Now, second point, structure. Like I said, we want to start by bidding on the highly relevant terms that are more likely to convert, and then building out the account. We very much want to make sure we split split different keywords and different match types into different campaigns, so we can have separate budgets for all the different areas. Third point I want to mention is ad scheduling. So if you do have a sort of brick and mortar operation, then we can show ads just on days, times you're open. This is the same for phone ad extension. So what we can do is show a phone number in ads so people can call up directly from an ad. Now we can set this so it's only showing during opening hours. So again, it's all about maximizing your budget by not spending when you can't service an inquiry, essentially. Final couple of points, as I mentioned, location settings. Don't waste budget by making sure you're only serving ads to people physically in the locations. And final ad point, test ads. Like Chris said, test absolutely everything, but ensure you're constantly testing multiple ads that are going to compete and try and get the best click-through rates.
Perfect. Thank you so much for flying through those. And I think some really nice points to end with. Just a reminder, we're going to do a Q&A session as well. I've seen one question come through, which we'll get to in a second. So do please have those questions come through. But I just wanted to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the session. To anybody who's joined as not a Tide member, we'd love to have you. Try us out for free to see how you can benefit from the time and money that we can save you. And you can become one of the over 200,000 customers that we now have in the UK. Over probably early next week, Tuesday, you'll get an email from us, and all you need to do is click on the link within that email, download the really easy to use app, and complete your application, and you'll be a Tide member. And as mentioned, it should take no longer than 10 minutes to get you all set up. It won't cost you any money, and so you can try us out for risk and cost free. And yeah, go ahead, give us a try out. Feedback with any feedback you have. We like to listen to our customers. As I said earlier, we've implemented new parts of the app on what our customers have said. So yeah, look out for that email and do give us a try. And also, if you during the registration process put your phone number in to receive some more information, do look out for the call from our onboarding team over the next couple of days, and they will be happy to answer any questions that you have about Tide, and we look forward to working with you as a member as soon as possible. So we are now going to do a Q&A session, so if you just bear with me, I will look and see if we have any questions that have come in, and we have one from Walter Esser. So do please get some more questions in if you have them. And the one from Walter is, what is your advice for someone who started a business online without having a customer base? I'm not sure who's best that to. Maybe Chris or Michael potentially.
I can say about that. I think Jade touched on it as well, really, in terms of harnessing your community. Obviously, it does depend what your business is, and you know where you're. Again, coming back to what I was saying about where your customers are hanging out. But that is absolutely what I would find out in terms of, you know, where are they? You know, is it worth running ads in that location, or is it worth harnessing your local community? And there are lots of things like Facebook groups and places for business owners to hang out. You know, Jade absolutely was right in this before. You know, as a business owner, I often find I'd much prefer to shop with other local businesses, and it's just how it, you know, you do support one another in that sense. So you know, starting to build relationships with other business owners is actually so powerful, and just a great place to harness for information, for learning, for all of that, but also to help grow your business as well. And it is a great place to start if you're not in a position to run ads initially. But obviously, at the end of the day, ads are there for that reason. It is to push your business out to new customers. And if you have a budget for it, you know, as long as you've researched your audience, it's a great place to start. And with social, you can start with relatively small budgets.
Great. Jade, do you have anything to add? I know that was probably part of your journey, because you said you didn't really have much of a customer base or a large mailing list or anything like that. Was there anything you could add to Chris's?
Yeah, absolutely. I had absolutely no audience. Yeah, it's just about reaching out to sort of where they're going to be. So I went straight to Facebook, and I mean, now I'm sending out sweet treats all across the UK, but initially I went to my local groups on Facebook, because everybody is now much more online, more so than they were before. So I was looking at sort of local selling groups and buying groups, but also just online communities were much more, or are much more active. So it's just about putting my face out there and saying, this is what I'm doing now. Anyone want to come and try it? But I think Chris just mentioned other local businesses as well, and that's really key. One of the things I found really helpful is reaching out to other businesses, but they also do very similar things to what I do, and it's not that someone will buy from them and not from you. If they're likely to buy from them, then they like that sort of thing, they'll probably buy from you as well. So sort of connecting with local businesses that are going to help spread your word for you, but in a really sort of genuine way. It's not sort of just pushing your content on their pages, but finding out how you guys can work together and benefit each other.
Nice. And taking part in webinars as well helps, because I don't know about the rest of the panelists, but I'm definitely going to be honest. Every pre-meeting we've had for this webinar, Jade's had a biscuit or a cake on the go, and we've not been sent any yet, so I don't know what's happened there, but
I'll be on the way.
We've got another question, Alex. Just before we get onto that one, I've just posted into the chat room a link to the Tide Events web page, so please keep an eye on that for the future webinars we've got coming up in the next couple of months. And also there's a link to the Listen Again page, where all our webinars are mentioned in our blogs there as well. So do please have a look at those for our past webinars. So we've got a question from Alex Blake. He says, hi, on a very limited budget, would you suggest LinkedIn or Facebook is better for paid ads?
So again, it comes back to where your customers are hanging out. You know, if you're a B2B customer, you know, don't rule out Facebook. You know, a lot of B2B clients come to us, say, you know, thinking that they want LinkedIn ads, but actually when we investigate, Facebook is still a very, very powerful powerful platform, even for B2B. It really does depend. The problem with LinkedIn is budgets get swallowed quite quickly on LinkedIn, and it is definitely a more expensive platform to advertise on than Facebook. But again, it's understanding the customer, where they're hanging out, what data you need to be able to put yourself in front of that customer as well is really important. Yeah, so it really does depend on really how much your budget is, and yeah, from that.
Cool.
I'll just jump in. I wouldn't rule out PPC from that point either. I think especially if you're offering a service, like I say, people are actively searching Google for a solution. So if you're offering a service, you can very easily get a quick ROI from PPC as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. And a question from Emma Lloyd has come in. Is there a way to set LinkedIn ads as pay per click rather than per impression? Is that different? I'm not sure.
Do you know what? I don't immediately know the answer to that question without thinking.
That's maybe something we'll take that offline, Emma, and then Chris can maybe send me an email afterwards, and I'll send the answer across to you. I think that's it for questions, unless we'll give you guys maybe a couple of seconds more to send anything in. It hasn't been for now. So at this stage, just a huge thank you to Michael, Chris, and Jade. It's been a real pleasure having you on the panel. Some really interesting insights and learnings for everybody. And yeah, please, everybody else, do look out for future webinars that are coming up in the next couple of months. Got some really interesting ones coming up. But for now, thank you all very much, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys.